Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be my November wrap up. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to mention that I won't have an on-topic video this month and I probably won't have one until February. It's just really hard to keep up with news at the moment, and I feel like with all of the videos that I'm going to be putting out in January, I just won't have time to pay attention to book news, TV, and movie news. So I just thought I'm going to take a little bit of a break from the on-topic videos and I will start them back up in February. Now on to the wrap up. So I read 7 books in November. 3 of them were physical books, which were all rereads, and then I read 4 ebooks. I didn't have a lot of time to read in November. I was busy with starting my new job and stuff, and I was just kind of trying to focus on that, and there were so many other things going on that was just very overwhelming, and I really wasn't in the mood to read, but I am happy with what I read. I'm happy I reread some old favorites, and I found a new favorite book, and yeah, I feel like it was a decent month. Like 7 books to me isn't bad, but it's also not amazing. Like I wish I would have read 10 books, but that's okay. So the first book I read in November was Mafia Queen by C.D. Reese. This is the 3rd and final book in the Delustro Arrangements trilogy. This I gave 3 out of 5 stars. This whole trilogy just follows Violetta, who enters an arranged marriage with Santi, who is this mob boss, and she has no knowledge of the mafia world, even though her family was a part of it. And she basically just becomes involved with this mafia world, and it's all of these secrets, and it's very dramatic, it's very entertaining. I actually really enjoyed this whole trilogy, even though I gave every book 3 stars. I liked the whole plot, and I liked the mystery aspect of it. I liked the characters, I just didn't feel that emotionally attached to them, and I probably would have liked this trilogy more if I read it back to back. Like if I binged the entire trilogy, I probably would have loved it more, but I read each book as they were coming out, so I feel like I kind of forgot some details from the first and second book. I also feel like sometimes the characters were a little confusing, and the family ties were kind of confusing, like who was related to who. It just sometimes was a little confusing, but I overall really liked this last book. I loved the ending. I love how this series is driven by like family secrets and secrets in general, and it just leaves you always questioning everything, and I just really liked the way it was done. I definitely liked Violetta and Santi more in this book, and I actually felt like they really loved each other and that it was very much equal. This book was a little bit more romantic in some aspects, which I really enjoyed, and yeah, I don't know if I'm going to read the spin-off books maybe at some point, but I thought it was a very unique and different mafia romance. Then I read Puck Shy by Tegan Hunter, which I gave 3 out of 5 stars. This is a hockey romance, and it follows our male character Colin, who is on summer break. He's just about to start the new season, and he's having a really shitty summer, and he's actually driving back home before the season starts, and his car ends up breaking down in the middle of nowhere, and our female character Harper kind of runs into him on the road, and she decides to help him out and give him a ride, and they travel back to this city, and they really hit it off on their little road trip, but they don't really do anything. They kind of just decide to go their separate ways. And weeks later, Colin joins this dating app, and he actually finds Harper on there, and they start talking, but she doesn't know that it's him. I thought it was a cute friends to lovers romance, and I loved the hockey aspect, but I just found it very bland. Like I didn't think it was anything super special. I also feel like there was a little bit of catfishing going on, a little bit, which I'm not a huge fan of. I also really don't like dating app related romances. I just find them boring. This book was really fast paced, and I liked the characters, I liked the romance. There was definitely some very cute romantic moments in here. I loved when Colin confessed his love for Harper, and Harper kind of messed up their relationship, and she was the one that had to grovel, which I thought was very interesting. And yeah, it was just a very simple, cute romance. Then I reread a classic. I reread Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars. When I first read this, I gave it 3 stars, so I definitely increased my rating this time around. I definitely feel like I enjoyed it more upon my reread. I first read this back in 2013 and I hadn't reread the series, so it was nice to finally reread this. I've been wanting to reread this book and the whole series for, I want to say, at least a year, so I'm happy I finally did it, and like I said, I really enjoyed it more this time around. This basically follows Chloe, who is an intern at this one company. She becomes the assistant to our male character Bennett, who is back home after living in France for a while, and he's now running the offices, and they really do not get along. Like, Chloe and Bennett hate each other, but they can't help but be attracted to one another. This was just really fun, really smutty. It's very over the top, very dramatic, but I just really liked the characters this time around. I definitely felt their chemistry. I also really liked seeing their like emotional moments that they had. They had a couple, which was really nice, and I overall felt like Bennett was obsessed with Chloe, and I loved that aspect. Like, there were certain things that he would say or do or even think, and it was just so clear that he was like obsessed with her and so in love with her from the beginning. I didn't remember a single thing from this book other than how much Chloe and Bennett did not get along and how much they argued. That's all I could remember about this book. Also, how much sex they would have, but that was all that I could remember about this book. So it was nice to reread it, like I said, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. Then I read Beautiful Bitch by Christina Lauren, which is book 1.5 in the Beautiful Bastard series. This I gave 3 out of 5 stars. This I also first read in 2013, and I also gave it 3 stars back in the day, so my rating didn't change for this one. This picks up shortly after the ending of Beautiful Bastard. It continues Chloe and Bennett's story. It just follows them finally being in a real relationship and them finding time for each other in their busy schedules, and them also going on a holiday. This was very cute, very romantic, very sweet and smutty. There are a couple of flashbacks in here that I kind of wish it was a little bit more present time, but like I understand it was kind of more of a glimpse at them having a normal relationship, and you kind of see them taking the next step and stuff. It was just a very cute, sweet, fun little novella, and I am very happy that I reread it, and I love how you get a little bit more of Chloe and Bennett, which I really appreciate, especially getting just them having like a normal day-to-day relationship. It was really fun to reread because, again, I did not remember a single thing about this book. And then I went ahead and reread Beautiful Stranger by Christina Lauren, which is the second book in the Beautiful Bastard series. This I gave 4 out of 5 stars. This I had also read back in 2013, and I did first give it 4 stars, so again, my rating did not change for this one. This follows Sarah, who is one of Chloe's friends, and she moves to New York City after her fiance cheated on her, and she is just kind of looking for a fresh start. And on one of her first nights out in New York, she meets Max Stella, a beautiful stranger, and they kind of hook up at this club, and they go their separate ways, but they can't stop thinking about each other, and then they realize that they have mutual friends, and they decide to kind of have a friends with benefits type of relationship. This was very sweet, very smutty. This whole series is 100% erotica, like it is literally driven by sex scenes. But I loved Max and Sarah. I thought they were the perfect match. They both kind of didn't want anything serious, but they couldn't help but fall for each other, and they had a lot of similar interests, and they honestly were just super romantic and hot together. I do feel like Max definitely fell in love with her first. I can't remember the rest of the series, but I feel like I'm getting the vibe that this whole series, the male characters fall in love first, which is really nice. I will say I didn't really love the ending that much. I felt like it was really rushed. I also didn't really enjoy the conflict at the end. Like both Max and Sarah were both hurt from different things. I just didn't really care for the drama that happened at the end, and then I felt like their ending and like reuniting was kind of rushed. But regardless, I still really enjoyed this, and I'm glad I am slowly rereading the series. Then I read Grayson's Vow by Mia Sheridan, which I gave 3 out of 5 stars. This follows Kira, who is kind of on her own. She kind of comes from a wealthy family, and she has decided to kind of live on her own and essentially run away from her family, and she is at the bank trying to get whatever money she can get. She runs into our male character Grayson, who is at the bank, and she overhears this conversation of him trying to get a loan and not getting approved. Kira then decides to go to Grayson and offer to marry him because she can get her inheritance if she gets married, and she offers that she'll give some of her inheritance to him so that he can get some money for his vineyard. So this is obviously a marriage of convenience, but it is also hate to love, kind of enemies to lovers. I really enjoyed this. I liked the characters. I liked the romance. However, I did feel like Grayson was a little mean sometimes. I feel like sometimes he took things a little too far and he was a little too much sometimes. But I will say Kira also kind of gave it back to him. Like she wasn't just like some quiet, innocent girl. Like she tried to give it back to him as much as he gave it to her. I did feel like the ending was a little rushed, and them getting together officially kind of felt insta-lovey in a way. Like it kind of just felt like it happened, and it was like all the build up for nothing, if that makes sense. I like how they had these nicknames for each other. Kira's nickname for Grayson was the Dragon, and Grayson's nickname for Kira was Little Witch. I thought that was really funny and cute. There was also a lot of family drama in this book. Grayson had some issues with his brother, and Kira had issues with her father, and that was very interesting, like on both parts. I liked that element. I really enjoyed this book, but I just felt like something was missing. Like I felt like I maybe couldn't fully connect with the characters or the plot. I'm not exactly sure, but I enjoyed it, and I really loved the ending. I thought it was super sweet. I loved the epilogue. And the last book I read in November was Ignite by Melanie Harlow. This is technically the 6th book in the Cloverleaf Farms series, and this I gave 4 out of 5 stars. This book follows the daughter of the main couple from the first book. It follows Winnie, who is very much a hopeless romantic. She kind of falls in love with men very easily, but she has decided to take a break. She is sworn off of men for a year. She doesn't want to fall in love or anything like that. She really just wants to focus on herself and her family. But of course, that doesn't last long because she gets a new neighbor who moves in with his 2 daughters, and he is a firefighter. This was so cute. I absolutely loved the characters. I loved the romance. I loved Dex's relationship with his daughters. I thought it was very precious, and I loved seeing that develop throughout the book. And I loved Winnie. I loved her relationship with the girls as well. It was kind of like this older sister stepmom vibe. It was very sweet. This is also an age gap romance. Winnie is 22 and Dex is 34, I think. It's also kind of grumpy sunshine. Dex really doesn't want to be interested in Winnie because of how young she is, and Winnie can't help but just fall in love with him, of course. Dex did annoy me at some moments. Like I felt like sometimes he was a little bit too stubborn, especially towards the end. But I understand how like he just wanted to try to be a better dad and not focus on himself. Like he wanted to focus on his daughters a lot because he just thought he wasn't like the best dad. And it was so cute when his girls would kind of like reassure him that he was like a good dad, or like would try to make him feel better. It was so sweet. It was nice to see all of the other Cloverleaf Farms characters and Winnie's parents, who are Franny and Mac. I also loved at one point in this book when Winnie is talking to one of her sisters about Dex, And her sister literally says, you're falling in love with like dad. Like you're falling in love with somebody who is exactly like our father. I just thought that was so funny. I did feel like the ending kind of dragged. Like the whole conflict definitely went on for longer than I thought it would. But I did love how Dex groveled and everything. I loved the ending. And yeah, I just thought it was a very sweet and funny, heartwarming romance. So that was it for my November wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know how many books you read in November and which one was your favorite. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!